all of our holy people, our most sacred beings, were people of peace. And so our people, when they came to this surface of Mother Earth, they came from a place of peace. When we return to the holy people, we are supposed to be a being of peace. Diné hasni Diné ja hedi kat niket nda hot het nende daardoor tot na khede nede da bada hanne hakko ja hedi kat ayes daardoor in nadeel enige ja haste tegen de ne ja hedi ben ik slag weet net daardoor haste horan de dikat ben ik slag weet net al dit tot je dat andere is ja. In the teaching of our Diné, we are told, which means about 19 generations ago, which is about 112 years is a generation. And it is that our people calculated past history in that way. And they talk about the time when our people first came into this area. Always that we have to be reminded that there were already people who were living here. And such people today are known as probably cliff dwellers and pueblo people and other groups of people as well that didn't live in the cliffs or didn't live in pueblos and so on. But there were many different groups of people. But the one thing that is very much an important thing to know is that none of these people had any kind of peace among them. They were constantly fighting, and it was that they would kill each other by the hundreds, and there was no peace among these people. But when the Diné came, Diné were a peaceful people, and it is very important to understand why the Diné were a peaceful people. The holy people in our language are called Haste Diné. Those are the holy people. Haste means peace. And then we have our other main important being, the supreme being. Haste or the supreme being, you might say, is the maker of all things, as he makes peace. And then we have Haste which is the speaker of peace. That is very important because he is like the principal holy person, holy being. And then we have 12 that are called Hash'e-Dahogan, or Hash'e-Jawan. It means peace. Hash'e means peace. And so our Diné, all of our holy people, our most sacred beings in that, were people of peace. And so our people, Diné, when they came to this surface of Mother Earth, they came from a place of peace. And it is that when we return to the holy people, we are supposed to be a being of peace. And that's the only way that we can live among the holy people again, is that we are, as they are, beings of peace. And we cannot have joy, we cannot have happiness, we cannot have confidence without having peace. And so a lot of times we also have to have the understanding that we have to have peace in our thinking, peace in our hearts, and then peace in our physical environment, our physical self. We have sacred markings on our hands, sacred markings on our toes. These are our fingertips, the marking. When the holy people gave us to this surface of Mother Earth, we came as a spirit being and entered this physical form like a whirlwind. And so we have this marking on the top of our head. These same markings are on our fingertips and on the tips of our toes. And so because we have that marking, that we have to remain a people of peace, and we cannot ever strike any of our loved ones, our children, our wife, or our relatives, and anyone that is in our immediate family. We cannot strike them with the hand or with the foot. And it is very much a teaching that if you are going to administer some type of of punishment, especially when you do the ceremonies and that. You have to use the yucca or some other means, but not the hand. And that's how the ceremonies are performed. And it is that the yebache, when they go and switch the children and that, and part of the ceremony to discipline, that is what they use, is the yucca, saste. And the teaching are very serious about the being a person of peace. But down through the years, we have encountered people that have absolutely no understanding. And as the Diné became an influence to the people of the Southwest, pretty much all of the people that became known as cliff dwellers became people of peace, or became Diné. And so many other people that were groups of people that became clan families and that became Diné and became a peaceful people. And it was for many generations that we lived in peace. And it's always been that the Diné have been the peacekeepers. And the history of our people, some of the oral history in that, talk about the time after 1492. Now, the Diné encountered the Spaniards somewhere around 1520 or 1530 along the Rio Grande, what is now present-day Texas. And it is that the Diné talk about that there were new people that had come, and they seemed to just be walking around and marching around. And so they gave the name Nakai, which means the walk around people, or those that just go walking around here and there. Nakai, that's what the word means, the walk around, or the marchers, is what they were doing. And but for quite a period of time, our people knew about them. But they also began to hear that these new people were not a good people. They were taking slaves and making slaves of some of the people that they were encountering, that the Diné had had peace with for many generations. And they began to do things that were not peaceful. And they became disruptive to the peace that people had. And these were the Spaniards. And then the story is that sometime probably around 1550, and that time period, there were another group of Spaniards that probably came up the Colorado, and then of course the little Colorado, up into where the Zuni pueblos are. And that particular expedition, the Spanish expedition, they have the name of the Perez as the one that was leading that expedition. They came upon the Zuni pueblos, and one day, as they encountered the Pueblo people, these were peaceful people. They welcomed them, and Spaniards, of course, took that peaceful attitude and being people of peace as a weakness. And so the following day, after they'd been there one day, they killed over 300 men, women, children of the people of the Zuni village, pueblos. And during that time, my great-great-great-great-grandfather found some refugees. The refugees came north from the Zuni pueblos. And my great-great-great-grandfather, of course, saw these refugees and took them in. And he organized a group of men to go and to see what was going on. By the time they got there, and they found all of the destruction that the Spaniards had done at the Zuni pueblos, and they had moved on. But my grandfather, my great-great-great-grandfather, adopted these Zuni refugees. And these refugees, of course, remained with my great-great-grandfathers and that. And they married into other clans and so on. And we eventually had a Zuni clan. So we have Diné, which is the Zuni clan. And then, of course, as the history continues, after the Spaniards began to make settlements along the Rio Grande, our people, being a people of peace, never ever really made the effort to actually kill Spaniards. They wanted to discourage them in any way that they could. And so they would raid the settlements and run off their livestock and take their women and children. The idea was maybe if we do this, that they can just get discouraged and leave. And so it was that's what the tactic was, is to carry off the women and children and run off the livestock. And of course, as the history goes, is that when the Spaniards that had made these settlements asked the local people, they said, who are these people that come and take our property and carry off our women and children? And they were told, those are Navajo. And we've talked about this name before. And there's lots of people that knew that the Diné were called Navajo, a name that was given to them by the Anasazi. And so they were, when they told the Spaniards, those are Navajo, the Spaniards heard that name, and they gave it the Spanish spelling, the Spanish pronunciation, and today it is said as Navajo. And so that's where the Spanish applied that name, and that's why people think that the Spaniards gave us that name, which is not correct. And so we have the teaching that the Spaniards, after they had taken the women and children, these people became adopted. They didn't take them as slaves, they took and adopted them after they had them for a period of time. And then those Spaniards remained among the Diné, and they married into other clans. And so today we have a Spaniard clan, which we call Nakai Diné. And so these were then a peaceful people. So the teachings of our people is that we would always be a peaceful people, and that we would continue to be a people of peace. And so the teachings of our people is that after we have completed our existence on the surface of Mother Earth, that when we return to the holy people, we must be a person of peace. And those are the things that I am told.
Hey, thanks for watching our videos. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. Also, head over to our website, NavajoTraditionalTeachings.com. Sign up for our email list. Okay.